Welcome! Today, we're making bagels. All right, so let's dive in. You're gonna need your ingredients, so here's an ingredient list. Things you'll need for making bagels. I use a KitchenAid machine. It's really helpful when making bread doughs, but you don't need it. You can totally do this by hand. This video shows using the machine though, so. You'll also need a dough hook for dough. Additionally, something that's really affordable nowadays is a kitchen scale. All bread doughs are really very exacting, especially with yeast to hydration and flour and so on. So you want to be pretty specific. Getting a kitchen scale will help you in a number of ways, and they're pretty cheap, so why not? All right, so let's get started. Whenever making a yeast dough, you add the liquid first. The liquid's gonna help bloom your yeasties, which isn't like a normal thing to say, so I'm not gonna do that anymore. The molasses here is replacing malt syrup. If you're making a different recipe for your bagels and you're replacing the malt syrup with molasses, you're gonna use a little less. After about a minute, you'll see the yeast is foamy. You want to keep your salt separate from your yeast, so that's why I put it on top of the flour. And then I'm just gonna pinch it in with my fingers to kind of distribute the salt. Okay, I'm gonna put it on low speed for 3 minutes and then medium speed for another 3 minutes. All right, so my dough is going to go in a warm, but not hot, place for about an hour or until it's doubled in size. So my dough is nicely plumped up, and now it's time for the fun part, shaping our bagels. Put a little flour down and dump your dough. Okay, so once you have your little rectangles, what you're going to do is see which side is the smooth side. Take the smooth side and it should be facing down, wrinkly side up. You're gonna gather your dough corners up, smooth side down, until it looks like a little dough purse. Flip it over. So now the gathered part is face down and the smooth part here is facing up toward the ceiling. Now make sure you have an area of your counter that has no flour on it. There should be an area that has flour and your dough pieces, and then a section that has no flour so that your dough can stick to it slightly when you're rolling. Okay, now you are going to make a little cage with your fingers and press down slightly as you start to roll the dough around. Okay, you can see here that the seam is starting to merge. Once the bottom seam has kind of come together and disappeared, and the top surface is really nice and smooth and pretty tight, that's when you have to stop. If your dough balls are looking a little wacky, check out my Bread Shaping 101 video where I give you some tips and tricks and go into way more detail. So once you have your dough ball formed, you're just going to take your finger and poke it through the middle. Once you have your finger through, you're just going to use your other hand and spin it until you get a big enough hole in the center. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest of my bagels. There, that's good enough. You wanna make sure the hole is big enough because it's going to proof when we put it in the boil, and then it's gonna rise again in the oven. So if you don't make the hole big enough, it has a tendency to just like close up again, and then you have a bagel bun, which is still really tasty, but it's not that bagel look. Okay, it's time to boil them, so let's go boil. So we're gonna boil our bagels up, egg wash them, and then cover them in whatever seeds you like, which of course, there's only everything bagel seeds for me. My water is boiling gently. Remember to add your sugar. I forgot to video it. Each bagel only boils for 20 seconds. Don't overdo it because then your bagel can deflate. Okay, let's egg wash. Okay, so there's two ways you can do your bagel seeds. You can either sprinkle, which honestly, this is just not enough seeds for me, so I dunk. So your bagel should be covered in seeds. Use up the seeds. What else are you using these seeds for? Okay, let's put them in the oven. All right, so my bagels are done. You can eat them with whatever you want. Cream cheese, eggs. I usually go eggs. What else is good on bagels? Sandwich. Well, that's it for bagels. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.